Hello, I'm Mr. BNSF Train, and today I'll be taking a look at some Thomas & Friends All Engines Go toys. No, shocker. What we have here is motorized Percy and brake car Bruno, push-along Toby, and a push-along Edward without the tender, and no box. I got Percy and brake car Bruno because Bruno scaled well with the Tomy Trackmaster stuff that's not All Engines Go, and the truck in the middle is pretty nice. I got Toby because that's a pretty nice model compared to Mattel's previous mistake of making a push-along Toby. And I got Edward because he was laying in the parking lot after I bought these two. All sad, cold, alone, no tender, no kid, no home. So I took him home with me. I don't know what I'll do with him. One thing you notice on the end of the box is that Percy is shown with his lamp, which he always is shown with in All Engines Go, and his Trackmaster model does not have this. And the truck in the middle, it has axle guards and is the CGI type, while its rolling stock in All Engines Go does not have axle boxes. I'm gonna go ahead and open them up. Starting with Percy, he feels quite light compared to his previous model here, but I put batteries in him, so that's not a fair comparison. I noticed that the striping is pretty off. You can see the two colors of red here on the top, but then again, the previous model of Percy that I have has bad striping, and that's not customized. It's got a separate piece for the dome and whistle. The cab is a separate piece too, while it's just on this model, it's just the body, smoke box and face, and the frame that are the separate pieces. So although this new Percy looks simpler, it's kind of actually more complex when you think about all the pieces that went into it. Now let's move on to the truck. It's kind of the same retooled truck, but it's pretty similar to this 2014 truck I have. You can see the sides are kind of squished in. I do like they made this color gray. All Engines Go doesn't have any troublesome faceless trucks like this. Only the green and the maroon one with faces. Although in other All Engines Go toys, you do see other troublesome trucks. And here's how the color compares to an old Tomy troublesome truck. It's a lighter gray, but still looks pretty close. And here is brake car Bruno. I think he would prefer to be called brake car than caboose. It got the molded detail on the back, but it's not painted. These stripes are supposed to be yellow, and these handrails are supposed to be black. I might color them in later. Here's the side. Number 43. It's unusual little window here. Face, and his lamp, which spins around in the show but not on this model. He'll have 4 different color lenses. And also in the show, his steps move instead of his wheels. It would have been nice to have hinged steps on a version of Bruno, and also a version with steam earmuffs. Some good weight to them. and he's the same length as an old troublesome truck, which is good. But one of my biggest questions is, why did they include Percy and Bruno in the same pack when they rarely interact with each other one-on-one in All Engines Go? I did my homework for this video, and the only time they really interact one-on-one is in a web short where they play My I Spy, or I Spy, as you might commonly know it. But Bruno interacts more often with Diesel, especially in his debut episode Shake, Rattle, and Bruno, where they have to deliver a spotlight. That would have made a good pack, but then again, the motorized Diesel isn't my favorite with all the purple on his side, which he doesn't have in the show. While Percy looks quite plain, Bruno and the truck seem quite detailed. Look, of course, this being a CGI base, there's all this molded detail here. Even Bruno has molded detail here. Yep, the windows are molded details. Of course, I talked about how the railing is detailed with holes in the middle. I think the 43 is just a print and there's nothing on it. And even on the wheels, they aren't completely plain. They have this little, reflection wedge on here, which in All Engines Go, all the wheels have, but they turn simultaneously and you won't really have them positioned like this, which would kind of bother me. I did not take the top off of Percy yet, but one thing that bothers me, the front wheels are stiff. I'll see if that changes when I take off the body and put batteries in them. Yeah, you can kind of see on the new Percy, he's kind of bent down like a hot rod. Should be sitting up a bit. I'm not sure if that's just my example or not. I took Percy further apart with the triangle screwdrivers and noticed that the front axle was built wrong. Instead of putting the axles in where they are supposed to go, they're just pushed into new holes. I basically got a factory error, a kind I've never seen from Mattel before. Fortunately, I was able to put the axles in the right holes using a vise. One thing I forgot to take a look at is how huge the instruction sheet is. Yeah, you just got this little tiny picture, that's all you really need, and all this information in a whole bunch of languages on both sides. Now that Percy is finally Percy perfect, he can finally go on a run with Bruno. The batteries aren't fresh, so he's kind of slow. And now let's move on to Push Along Toby, which I think is one of the best All Engines Go Push Along models ever. Probably because it looks like Toby as we've known him previously. This box. Nothing on the back, but it seems to be nice and cleanly printed and not just printed on plain cardstock here. And see in the corner it just says metal. Probably because when they do non-engines, they don't have to change the text here. Why is it trademarked? Probably just the shape of Thomas? My, he feels nice and heavy. So what do I think about Toby? Well, he's pretty great, but I don't like that his front detail isn't painted like you see on the box here. It's dark wood trim, but they did do that on the side, and the gray around the buffers kind of bothers me. Also, nothing on the back. Nice clean side plates, not obstructed by the wheels. On the bottom, you can see he's dated 2023, the year he's actually released. Because for a lot of Mattel items, they're dated the year before their release. I also noticed on Percy and Bruno that they're dated 2021. Well, Percy released in 2021, but Bruno wasn't released until around the end of 2022. Now, how does Push Along Toby compare in size to Tummy Toby? Pretty similar in height, but the Push Along is much shorter in length, which is good. Kinda like that. Although, I've grown kinda used to the length of the Tummy Trackmaster engines. On the roof he has the funnel. The bell's quite tall, but there's no rod. I'm not sure if that's accurate to All Engines Go. Let's see how tall he is compared to Henrietta. That actually works really well. I dig that. Compared to the Push Along Edward, Toby is quite tall. Edward does not have any painted buffers, but he has a 440 wheel arrangement, but in All Engines Go so far, he's been portrayed incorrectly as a 660. Hopefully that's corrected in the third season of All Engines Go. It's a nice little plastic whistle. He also has buffers on the back, and his tender has buffers on the front, most likely because he shares parts with All Engines Go Gordon instead of James. And on the bottom, you can see Phillips head screws and 2023. Toby also has Phillips head screws. And something you probably already know about the All Engines Go push-alongs is that they're bigger in scale than the previous push-alongs. And something that doesn't really translate on camera is how heavy the All Engines Go push-alongs are. They feel nice and weighty, like the old take-alongs, while these all feel all cheap. Cheap metal of Henry. Yeah, and Rebecca, only her roof is made of metal. Thomas and Victor, which I got from Savers. Toby has some really nice free-rolling axles. Let me try them again. Edward. Thomas's don't really go that far. So Toby has some really good axles. Super axles like he does in one of the All Engines Go episodes he's in. So now I'm gonna push along Edward with the motorized Percy because he's slower. I also took pictures of how many parts go into Bruno, Edward, and Toby before I customized them. Here's everything once I added extra painted details. Let's start with Toby because I did the most to him. I did the entire trim in the same brown. The front buffer beam was done all red, and then I did the black buffers. Same goes for the back. Bell was made more of a metallic color. And Bruno, I painted his buffers black, his railings black too, the area around his cup were red, and the stripes on his back yellow, which I'm very surprised Mattel did not do. Also did the lining on this truck black, just because it looked pretty plain without any done in black. Percy's buffers done in black. And Edward's front buffers done in black. And a little bit of black in his whistle. Well, that does it for this video. I'm disappointed that Percy's front axle wasn't assembled correctly, but I'm glad I was able to correct it. I'm really happy with how Toby looks, and I'm glad my paint job on him turned out great. I'm also happy with how Bruno looks and how well he scales in with Tomy Trackmaster stuff. Thank you for watching.